Hey everybody, welcome back to Video Game Mess. So, Derek, got a fun and exciting video for you guys today because I'm playing not one but two different builds of the work in progress PC port of Fatal Frame. That's because every single time I finish the voiceover and hit export, one of the developers pings me on Discord and says they have a new build to test out that has a lot more features, a lot more visuals, a lot more functionality. And honestly, I'm always happy to go back into videos and remake them when new and exciting things come. So you're going to actually be watching two different compilations of two different videos here. Right now we're watching one that doesn't have the lighting shading model in, and I will switch over to other footage in just a moment. So be aware that some of this is just me talking about a previous build and some of it talking about a current build, because we keep talking about retro gaming decomps, recomps, and PC ports on the channel, and honestly Fatal Frame PC port is some of the biggest big decomp energy out there. Before we get too far involved though, to be a huge favor down below, hit like and subscribe and ring that notification bell, definitely helps us out. And if you feel so inclined and want to support the channel, I got a Patreon link down below as well. But last time I talked about this port, there was barely any graphics in it. A lot of it was wireframe animation as far as the characters are concerned. Kind of felt like you were playing Tofu from the original Resident Evil. And now this thing is absolutely excelling, running at a ton of different actual aspect ratios, and basically feeling like a near complete PC port in a lot of spots. In just a moment we'll move over to the new footage, but I love this sequence in the game, and you'll see here I am now moving it over to 16:9, because by default this thing will render to whatever your monitor's aspect ratio is, and I use 2 ultra wides and I'm actually making these videos. But again, Fatal Frame is such a unique game, and when it got its 100% decompilation status, you knew full well a PC port was incoming, and I feel like I don't really have any idea when this is going to be done, but it feels like it is kind of hitting that home stretch. But again, I absolutely love stuff like this because this is a classic game, but a lot of people don't really want to go back to the PlayStation 2 or Xbox version of it, just because maybe they didn't grow up with it, maybe they just don't like that aesthetic. But having these new modern ports are going to bring a lot more people into the mix. Now moving to the most recent build that was sent to me, now you're seeing a lot more of the lighting model actually come into the build. It's not going to be so brightly lit, and obviously that's going to be important for something like Fatal Frame, because the atmosphere of the game, that Japanese horror aesthetic, and everything else that comes with not really being able to see much in front of you is going to now be sort of an emotion you're getting in this build. Now it definitely isn't perfect, there are still going to be a few visual bugs here and there, but for the most part, if I just took a screenshot of this and showed it to you online and said it was from a complete PC port, I don't think anyone would be any the wiser if you just actually got a good screenshot out of it. Now, of course, I would never do that. I just show you guys what the current status is. When I say things like that, I just basically mean to say this thing is progressing incredibly nicely. And now in that same hallway you saw from the beginning of the video, you have all of the shading, all of the lighting model, and all of the horror aesthetic coming in for the most part. Sometimes in cutscenes it'll definitely still brighten up, but I'm sure this will all be fixed up shortly, because it really is one of the things. Sometimes developers just work so quickly, it's hard for me to actually make a video, get it scheduled and out into the world before it's basically completely obsolete. So this one, either way, devs of the Fatal Frame port, if you improve it again before this runs, I will just put it in the text description. And I'm kind of laughing to myself just because otherwise I'll make this video again a third time. But this is so exciting because I absolutely love Fatal Frame. The entire franchise is a ton of fun, but I feel like a lot of people really aren't all that familiar with it unless they played it back in the day. So you leave me a comment down below and you tell me, Fatal Frame fan, yes or no, and where did you get your start with the franchise? I still remember just seeing Fatal Frame on the EB Game Store shelves back in the day, and I thought to myself, well, you know what, this kind of looks like more of a horror Resident Evil, so I should pick it up, because I think it was actually on sale for like $40. So I took it home, I popped it into my PlayStation 2, and I absolutely fell in love with the game, and to this day, I've been a massive fan of the entirety of the mainline Fatal Frame games. So being able to have the idea that you could play this thing on PC from start to finish in the future, and be able to actually test these for the developers and talk about them in video format has been a ton of fun, because I'm reminded again just how important and just how impactful these games truly are. Because it's probably been something like maybe 5 or 6 years since I replayed Fatal Frame 2 on PlayStation 2. I actually did a run of all of the games one October just for fun in my spare time, before the channel basically consumed all of my spare time, and I think they're every bit as good now as they were back in the day, and even better on PC. Let's do a soundtrack sample of the audio in the PC port, and I'll be right back with a lot more. Now, the audio in something like Fatal Frame, it's kind of hard to describe it as a soundtrack. I would almost call it more of a soundscape. You get audio items from the actual world. You get the floorboards creaking underneath your feet, and you basically get this droning soundtrack underneath, which kind of feels like the ghost world almost coming through. Now, jumping back to the last PC port I was sent before the most recent one, it definitely has some issues, but in all of the most fun ways. I say this a lot on the channel, but I love how these things get made, more so than the actual end result a lot of times, because I get to talk about the technical nature of these PC ports and everything is basically laid up in graphics, because don't forget, the PlayStation 2, both on the audio as well as the video side, those silicon chips don't do the same thing that a modern GPU or anything else in your system would do, so you have to transpose all of the calls and all of the effects to modern hardware, so getting a situation where you have a duplicate image, not really all that weird, but very entertaining just in a way of that's how it kind of broke in a very intriguing method. And as I get further into these builds here again, basically all of this game will work. You can jump around, you can save, and you can kind of set your options however you want. And with debug menus, you can actually just take a look at any part of the game your heart's content. It's one of those things. This isn't out for the public yet. I'll definitely let you know when it is, because I know the developers basically want to get this buttoned up before there is a public build. But like almost all of these projects, the first actual available one will probably still need some bug fixes, because once thousands upon thousands of people start playing them, they find things the developers never notice, because you basically go blind to trying to hunt for bugs when you're actually looking at the same thing over and over again. And you might notice every once in a while some of the screen space effects, like those grain filters, will still be 4:3, and that's just because the original aspect ratio of Fatal Frame was always 4:3, so those effects were always just built for that aspect ratio in mind, so those are something that will have to be adjusted for 16:9, maybe even ultra wide in the future. But if they only ever adjust them to 16:9, I really wouldn't judge it, because reality is, it's fun to see this in ultra wide, but playing it may be a little bit less impactful than just getting widescreen, where it definitely does work. But you'll see here, the lighting model, everything else is functioning very nicely as we kind of run through the world. Now if we jump back to the previous build again, you're going to see a way more light condition here. Everything is going to be amplified, kind of takes a little bit of the horror out of it, but also shows you a lot of the geometry a lot better in how it's drawing. That's why I combine these videos into one, so I can kind of talk about just how good the world's actually built here within the port. As far as the textures on the walls, as far as all of the different geometry, seems to be 100% buttoned up here, and with the actual lighting model not included in this build, you just get a chance to see a lot more of it, like the tatami mats on the floor and all of their different textures. And as I go into this room here, which is just kimonos, but always kind of read to me like human skins actually hung up, and you actually see that in a game, Maison Flash of the Blade in Naomi 2. Very similar aesthetic, if a completely different kind of gameplay genre. And this just looks amazing. Seeing the character models here all put together, straight up 10 out of 10, even if it isn't finished. But one more soundtrack sample, this time with a little bit more audio and music, and I'll be right back with just a little bit more of the Fatal Frame PC port to share with you guys. I mean, so at least at face value, the Fatal Frame PC port here seems to be shaping up really well, and being able to test these different builds has been a ton of fun, and it's definitely something I will continue to do on the channel until this thing is out, and I can do that release video so you guys all know it's available. Because trust me, if you've never played Fatal Frame before, definitely wait for the PC port. I think it's going to be absolutely the best way to play this in the future, and hopefully gets a lot more people actually into the world of Fatal Frame, because the people that love it know about it, absolutely love every entry, but a lot of times people leave comments in the description below saying they've never actually played a Fatal Frame game, and that's definitely something I would love you guys to start doing once this PC port's out. But I'd love to ask, have you played a Fatal Frame before, and if so, which one is it? And trust me, at least twice in this video I had to cut back in because I kept calling this thing Fatal Fury because my brain just always goes to the SNK fighting games. But I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.